Hello again and welcome to the Boundary Line. We're on the road this week at Robin Park here in Wigan with our warm hosts. Thank you very much for having us. Looking ahead to a big friendly back at Boundary Park on Sunday as Oldham, the Betfred League One champions, take on the all-conquering Super League Challenge Cup World Club winners, Wigan Warriors. Their coach Matt Peet has given us some of his time, alongside a guy you'll know a little bit more, Sean Long, because we speak every week.
Yeah.
Great for you to spare 10-15 minutes, Sean.
Yeah, just down the road for me, so it's all good. So nipped in, seen Matt again. Obviously, got a good connection with Matt, so only down the road.
Thanks for having us, Matt. First of all, how well do you know this guy?
Yeah, very well, I'd like to think. We go back a long time, and I'd say particularly in the last 5 or so years since we've both been coaching, our relationship's probably taken on a more serious nature, and we'll chat about rugby and work and coaching, and I certainly learned from Sean, and hopefully he's picked a bit up as well. But yeah, we have a good laugh together.
You talk to me a lot about learning. You're both still quite young as a coach, and you both love to learn. So what you picking up off Matt, Sean?
Just so well organised here, well organised machine. When you come down here, everyone knows the role, doing the job. Obviously, I don't want to speak out of turn, but you know all the young lads what are coming through just on the same page, so they get the utmost respect from me, Wigan as a club, and Matt is a person, great friend of mine, and he's got great respect from me as well. So no, it's all good, and I'm learning all the time. You know, as an head coach now, you know I speak to Matt about other stuff and pick his brains and come down and watch him train. So yeah, it's really good for me being on mid step.
You seem to know everyone here. We walked in, I turned round and Sean had gone. He was shaking hands, hugging, having banter with God knows who in that gym. How do you know everyone wherever you go?
Well, like I say, I've been down here quite a bit, just watching them train, and you get to know the lads, and you know I've coached a few lads here as well. So rugby's a small town world, in it, especially Wigan. So everyone knows each other.
It's really impressive here. We'll talk about the game. We'll come on to the game in due course. There's loads of other stuff I want to talk to you about. Every time, Matt, I walk in here, I'm just blown away by how professional, how impressive it all is from top to bottom. How important is that for a club who's conquering it as you are at the moment to have somewhere like this where you can be as professional as you want everything to be?
Well, firstly, thanks for saying that. It means a lot to us. I think the facilities are a big part of what we do. You know, when you talk about that professionalism, it is important that we're organised and we all know our roles. But hopefully, you feel welcome as well, and you feel there's a decent spirit, people having fun. So yeah, George, I think hopefully not just Longy when he comes, but all your staff from Oldham, and the way we carry ourselves at the weekend will hopefully contribute to what should be a great day. So yeah, it's a combination. The facilities on their own are not worth very much, but when you combine them with a good group of lads and a good attitude, then they're important.
And this week you're building up to a game. We'll come back to it in a moment, but how key in terms of your preparation for Super League and everything else is this fixture on Sunday?
Yeah, it's important. It's another step in the journey to the start of the season. I think the lads will be delighted to see that there's a game this week, particularly some of the younger lads who've been in since early November and worked really hard, and they're here to play rugby at the end of the day. So it's big for us. We look forward to it. I think it's a good step in the right direction with our partnership with Oldham as well. So I think there's a lot to look forward to this weekend.
Yeah, we'll talk a bit about that in a sec as well. You guys are dying for a game, aren't you, Sean? With the Rochdale game frozen off, we kind of expected that given the -7s, -8s, -9s we were having last week. This is a game that needed to happen, this one.
Yeah, definitely. I thought, like Matt just spoke about, the lads are rugby players basically, and they want to go and play rugby. And it's been a long pre-season for us as well as Matt. And the lads that can't, especially at middles, they just want to tackle someone or run hard. You know what I mean? Especially at middle lads. So yeah, it'd be good to get some game time into those lads, and you know, it threw a bit of a spanner in the works not having Rochdale last week. But so. Yeah, I was going to give some lads a run in that, but it is what it is, and you dealt with the cards you are, and we'll just crack on. And it'd be good to fix things up as well. So, yeah, we want to get something out of it, and I'm nowhere near looking at what Wigan do. We just want to focus on ourselves. That's no disrespect, but it's a friendly. So we want a hard, fair game with no injuries, hopefully, and then we can just look at some areas where we need to improve on, some tidy ups, some fix ups, and that's what I want to get out of this game, especially being, and all the fans are ready for a game and the players, and you know, I think it'd be a great occasion, if I'm being honest.
You're just nodding away listening to Sean talking about rugby. I bet you're all right. Barra laughs you too when you just start talking about rugby.
You'd be
Leave
surprised.
Me for a few hours
You'd be surprised. It's a good point what Sean makes about you kind of find out where you're up to, and whether some of it will be good, some will be not so good. But you've got something to work on for the following week. Whereas sometimes in pre-season, you're just coaching by numbers. Really, you've got a plan and you stick to it, and you're guessing a little bit. But hopefully the lads have done enough running now and enough small skill drills they can get on the field and have a go.
I'm conscious that I'm sitting here with a current all-conquering coach, a coach trying to build something very special, but someone as a player who was one of the very best. But I can tell you're, in the nicest possible sense, you love your rugby geeks, your rugby nerds, whatever the words you want to use. You can talk about any aspect of rugby league.
Yeah,
until it gets dark.
I'd say so. We have a laugh as well, but Sean's probably a level above me in terms of being a rugby nerd, and the amount of games he would watch would be ridiculous. And I learn a lot from talking to him about the game. So, yeah, we have plenty in common. Rugby probably being one of the main ones. A lot of common friends and who play the game. So, yeah, we're always chatting.
Were you like that? I know how many games you watch now. Like you just sit for 24/7 watching games. Were you like that as a player, or is that something that's come through your transition from player to coach, or you're maturing as a person?
No, I've always been a rugby nerd. So any games on Sky or whatever, I'd always watch those, or whatever, go to games. And then with the videos and that as a player, I'd just watch clips and edge clips and stuff like that, or big rocks and stuff. But
with what end to learn, to get some, or just because you enjoy it, or it's just something you want to watch?
Both. If there's not rugby on in our house, then you're struggling all over here. It's on pretty much 24/7. I'll watch anything really, but you pick things up all the time, and I'm watching it sometimes as a fan, just sat there as a fan. But then I'll see something, I'll pick something up, and you just take those little bits, and you might use it, you might not. But yeah, I've watched a lot.
I think there's something about lads who play in the halves as well. Right. Ones that I know, Tommy Luluwai, Breezer, Harry Smith, who we've got at the moment, Jay Field's the same. They have a different eye for the game, and they watch it and pick it to pieces. So I think Long is definitely in that bracket.
Is that because you're trying to plot your way through an opposition defence as opposed to a forward who's just probably going to do the same thing every
all
week?
All depends. You need your forwards to get you on the front foot. If you don't have go forward, you're struggling playing out as a half. So you need them to get you on front foot, then you feel like you're running downhill, and then you can pull them apart. But it's just what comes off the back of it. So I'm quite into detail and stuff like that. But as an head coach, I've kind of taken a step back, and I focused on D last year. I was massive into D. I still am. I think that's what wins your comps, if I'm being honest. It did for us last year anyway. But I've then stepped into the attack a little bit more this year. With Joe Waddle actually heading up the D. So yeah, a bit of both, mate. Changed a few things. New guys coming into the club organisation, but yeah, it's then piecing it together. Getting the fine polish. But we're not where we're at yet. We've still got a few. And this is why the friendlies are key. Just thought blow the cobwebs off, have a crack, and then like I say, can't wait to review a game. You sit there and review it and just watch it and just break it down. That's what I'm looking forward to the most, if I'm being honest.
What's the favourite part, Matt, of your job?
I think when, a bit like Sean says there, when you've got a game to come out the back of, and you work with the team, your staff, fixing things that that you've seen, or improving things and building on things. I think when you're working with that group throughout a season on a journey together and you're sharing moments, the highs and the lows, I think doing that as a group is probably the highlight for me. Working with the same group on a journey all year, and then all working together.
How tough and how integral to what both of you do is man management. You've both got a big squad of top level players, all of whom want to play. Matt, you're putting 17 out there every week. There's going to be people unhappy. There's going to be players getting injured who are going to need some support. There's going to be players not getting in the team for whatever reason. That part of it, the personal side of it, how key is that to what you do?
Well, I think for both of us it'll be huge. I think you can have the best tactics, best session plans in the world, but if your group's not connected, not motivated, not heading in the same direction, and that includes your staff as well. It's not just managing the playing group. You've got a staff now, and I think managing one another and getting everyone to pull in the same direction is probably the biggest part of the job.
I know you're on board with that ethos, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%. You can have whatever tactics, different systems in D, offence. They all work. It's just whether they buy into it. You can have different systems, but they all work.
It was perhaps a bit of a loaded question, that, because I'm interested, Matt, in how you would have managed him when he was a player. Because he might come across as a very mature, deep-thinking guy now, but he'll say himself he was often quite different as a player. You tell me, Sean, if I'm wrong. Were you difficult to manage?
I was all around the field. Yeah, just a little bit different off the field. But we're all different. We're all different in life. I don't want to be the same as you. No disrespect.
No, I wouldn't want you to be the same as me.
No, but I don't want to be the same as everyone else. I don't want to be put in the same mould as other coaches or whatever. I want to be myself, and that's how I've always been as a player, and now as a coach. I'm obviously calmed down now, but I think that's what worked for me and got me through. Otherwise, if I'd have been the same as everyone else, I've not got that edge. And that's the same as a coach or a player, and that's what you want to get out of them. You want to find that small little bit of niche spot is different. We're not robots.
So, as the head coach of a team who are champions of the world, have won every domestic honour that is up for grabs here at the moment, big on everything we've just talked about in terms of the squad. If you've got a brilliant maverick like a Sean Long at his pomp, how does that fit in? And how are you managing?
Well, I think the people that managed him and coached him obviously did a really good job, because he's one of the best halves we've had in the British game. And I'm sure when it worked best for Sean, it was when he was allowed to be himself, but within some boundaries. There has to be some boundaries. He understands that. He would have understood that. And above all else, he's a winner. So if he knew that what he did can help the team win, then I'm sure he did it.
Who were the best coaches you played for?
Just what Matt spoke about there, the best one, what got the best out of me was Daniel Anderson, who managed us, with the team, what we had. But how he got the best out of us and managed us, utmost respect for him to get the best out of us each week. And his man management was unbelievable. And he was smart as well. But he didn't overcomplicate it. He just kept it simple. And he was big into his D, so ticks all the boxes for me. And he didn't mind an air dryer. He'd give you an air dryer, which was good. I didn't cop it. Leon did. Well done, Leon. You copped a few. But,
yeah, did, yeah.
But yeah, no, all good.
Do you have to be able to lose your temper? Do you have a hairdryer? Do you lose your temper? You strike me as quite a deep-thinking, mild-mannered guy, Matt.
I think it's whatever's needed at the time. I think if I was doing it, I'd like to think that I'd thought about it first and not just doing it out of anger or frustration just because it makes me feel better. It's got to be to help the team.
Yeah. What about you? I've seen you lose your temper.
Oh, only a couple of times last season.
They were both with me, weren't they?
Yeah, there was that. No, there wasn't actually. Not full time. Just at half time, they might have needed a bit of a spark up. That's all, but not full time. You don't mean to make mistakes. You don't mean to do things. It's just. But the effort. If you don't put in the effort, then that's when I'll spray you.
Let's bring it back finally for the last few minutes to the game. I want to ask about George Hurst, because that was one of your close season signings, someone that we saw coming through at close quarters at Oldham. Sean saw 3 times a week and he was one of our emerging stars. How's he getting on here? We just saw him in the gym before and he looks bigger for a start. How's he getting on?
George Hurst has been very good. I think first started keeping an eye on him after speaking to Sean, and he said how well he was doing, and our scouts in the Championship were reporting on him every other week as well. So he joined in and been exactly what we hoped for. He's a physical specimen, and he's eager to learn. So I look forward to seeing him play at the weekend. I think he's excited about it, and starting the season with Oldham, and we can monitor him from there. But you can see he's got some good habits been put into him in terms of the way he works both sides of the ball. His work ethic's really good, and his attitude.
What really struck me about that news when we announced it, Sean, I was expecting Oldham fans to be really gutted, but actually the overwhelming feeling was really pleased for someone like George to get recognised and get that opportunity at a club like Wigan, which I think spoke volumes both for George, for Oldham's fans, and for the setup here at Wigan.
Yeah, 100%. And George is a young lad who's kind of not been in a system, but then when he had a little bit of coaching, not a full-time environment, he just went with the other lads and went on this mad run. And there was a few clubs into him, I think, but I think probably the best one was Wigan. For his progression, he's a specimen. He's a machine. But I think he needs the detail and that going into him, and Wigan's the perfect club for him, if I'm being honest. So we was made up either way, whether they stay and play for us or they go on past his new and end up playing for the World Cup champions is great. So yeah, he's been good. He's been well received, and we might get George back during the season.
Well, I don't know if there is a secret ingredient. What's the key to bringing through someone like that and keeping them? Obviously, it's a different scenario for Wigan because you're Wigan, and the challenge that Sean and Mike and Bill and everyone at Oldham at the moment, one of the big challenges is to make Oldham somewhere for the young players to come through and then be able to sign up for and play and be a star, be a professional rugby league. Not quite there along that journey at the moment. But when you're looking at talent, how do you make sure that what you see then comes through and becomes a senior professional player for you?
It's a good question. I think first of all, like what you mentioned about the difference in the clubs, everyone sits somewhere in the food chain. We have competition for our players, NRL, with the salary cap we can't compete with, and all you're trying to do is make sure that the players, when they're in your care, contracted to you, are as happy as they can be, supported and challenged to improve. And I think that's what George got at Oldham. And now the next stage is he steps into it with us and still plays for Oldham when the time is right. So each individual is very different, whether it's a star talent you're signing from overseas or a junior coming through your academy. But I think if you get that balance right between challenging them but supporting them, then I think you're heading in the right direction.
And they have to want it as well. And the person I'm thinking of here when I ask this question is someone I interviewed at training last week in Marcus Gina, who's a young teenager you've taken from Waterhead, who's got hopefully a big career ahead of him. He's right at the start of his journey. But he's just, every time I see him, he's made up. And he must look at people like George and what he's done and how he's responded to being here in this environment with Wigan and Matty and think, I can be a professional rugby league player now.
Yeah, obviously it takes a lot to be a professional rugby league player. You can't just get someone off street and make them into it. They've got to want it and they've got to have the talent. But then you've got to then nurse that and bring them through and teach them right. The core values, whether it's on and off the field, and your good habits in training, and then going out there and showcase in your game. But obviously, we like to keep all the Oldham lads, but they just get kind of picked off. The clubs, which is fair play on them. But if we can bring some lads through pathways, which would be great. And like I said, Marcus is a prime example of that.
And how aware are you, Matt, of the Oldham project, if I could use those words at the moment? Something, a famous old club. Wigan is a very famous old club. It's a very famous current club. But somewhere like Oldham now looking to rise again. Obviously, Sean will have filled you in on a lot of the work we're doing at the moment. How aware are you of?
I'm very aware of it, yeah. And I think because I worked for so long within the academy game and the juniors, I knew it was crying out for something because there's been a bit of a void in Oldham for a while. And there's so many strong junior clubs there. I could name Waterhead, St Anne's, and and there probably wasn't that optimism at the first team level. It seemed like it was bad press for a few years and some difficulties, but I think since the new regime's come in, Sean being a part of it, led by Mike, I think there's just been an optimism, and it's not just the on-field results, but you're hearing more about the community, the sponsors, the partners, just some positive stories coming out of Oldham, which I think is fantastic, because it's probably an area that we're in danger of losing, and there's too many good players coming out of there for that.
So you'd like to think of the final point, and who knows where Rugby League's heading at the moment with IMG, with Super League, but you as a Rugby League fan, I'm sure, would hope there's a big place for a club like Oldham in wherever we're heading.
Absolutely. It's one of the key areas, I feel, where it sits geographically, the history of the club, and as I go back to the quality of players that have come out of that area is frightening.
I'm conscious that I've kept you probably longer than I suggested I was going to, so we'll leave it there. We're really looking forward to seeing you. Are you bringing a good team over, by the way?
Yeah, I've had a chat with Sean about the team. There'll be the starting pack of forwards will be particularly experienced. So like Tyler Dupree, Cruz Lehman, Liam Byrne, Sam Walters, George will play. Some other young forwards, Ivor Hill's in there. Back's a little bit less experienced, but still some first team games under the belt. So, and what you'll find is some of the lads whose name you don't know at the weekend. You know, this time, a couple of years ago, that was someone like June in December. So it's a chance not just to see lads who you do know, but also hopefully the next crop.
And you've got a big group chomping at the bit to be involved in this fixture, Sean.
Yeah. Obviously, like I said, I've spoken about before about Rochdale game, but you get what the cards are dealt. So, I'll tell Matt later what team is. I'll tell him before lads know. But yeah, I'll tell him what team is.
You wonder how well these get on. They're sharing the teams in advance. We'll leave it there, Sean. I'll see you later in the week. Matt, thanks so much for having us along. And we hope that you can be there. It's going to be a great day. Weather permitting, looks a lot better this week. So Boundary Park, get online, book your tickets. We'll have some superstars here, so make sure you come and see us all in the fans bar before and meet everyone as well. So we look forward to it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at Boundary Park very soon.